Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year from a very cold County Leitrim. I think it's about -1.
Yeah, about that. Got a new hat for Christmas.
Yeah, you did. And new gloves,
And new gloves.
but you didn't want to do the earmuffs.
No, it's a bit overkill for me. Welcome to all of our new viewers, subscribers, that we think probably have come off the back of the 18-month time lapse.
Yeah.
So if you're new here, welcome and thank you very much for being here. If you are an existing viewer, you could be forgiven for thinking we've gone back in time. And we're just about to start the 14-day time lapse.
Yeah, we're not.
Don't worry.
Never ever again.
We're not.
This is...
Yeah, this.
Go on, you narrate.
Oh, I'm narrating. Right. This is storm damage. If you've watched for a long time, you'll know that a lot of these trees were leaning anyway. But the couple of storms that we've had, I've dropped these two big. I think it's two. We can't really see. 2 or 3 maybe, and there's another one over there. But they've just dropped to the ground. We're not doing that now. That's not the point. We're not doing this. We're just bringing you down onto the land because obviously that's something that we'll be doing this year at some point. It gives us some good wood for next year.
Yeah, it does. Next
Anyway,
winter.
there's lots of the plum, and Dory Jean will be disappointed because we might not get much of a blossom watch on the plum trees this year with how many have gone down. But we'll walk you around here in a bit and you can have a quick
Have a look.
Yeah, sorry, birds, I think.
Yeah.
It's that cold, not a single cat has joined us down there, and normally
They're asleep
they're
indoors.
everywhere,
Yeah.
but yeah, they haven't joined us today.
So yeah, we'll give you a walk up,
Yeah.
show you our plans for, well,
Yeah.
tidy this is the plan for down here. That really surmises
Yeah,
this, doesn't it?
because we're losing all of that patch now.
Carry on where we left off last February, March.
Yeah, it was March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our plan for our tiny little vegetable patch.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll wander you up and you can have a look.
Yeah, up to the outbuildings, quickly whiz around the outside of the house and then in the warm.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there in the warm.
It's chilly.
Yeah, I said it's -1. It feels...
It does.
A lot colder.
Does when you stood on the frosty ground.
Yeah.
Let's take a walk.
Oh,
It's chilly.
it's so cold.
Oh, and I want to go back and get the camera. Look at the frost. How pretty it looks.
No, because it would be typing. You can then record audio. Stop there.
Yeah. Come on, Ellen. Come on, then. You got cold feet. Hello. Hello. You got cold feet. Hey, Steve. Here comes Steve. That's a grumpy face you got going on there, Stephen. Oh, you got cold feet. Right. So we're just past the conker tree. Coming up to where Ben mentioned about what was our vegetable beds. They're looking a little sad. So this is the 2 that we put in at the end of the summer, really, or going towards the end of the summer. We were a little bit too late doing it all. We had tomatoes and cucumber in there, which tomatoes did something, but the cucumbers they just didn't get off the ground. We were far too late doing it. But the plan is, and we don't know when this will happen, but this area we thought would be a good place for a polytunnel. But until that happens, we'll probably put another couple of these raised beds in to start. Sorry, it's very distracting with the little Pomeranian barking. But that's the plan for up here. This will become the vegetable patch, polytunnel, and then as we go along further, we have all of this to tidy up. We have a lot of tidying up to do actually, and that's something that we're going to be looking at getting done sooner rather than later. Getting rid of all of this, clearing this patch down there. We've got all of our wood under a tarp there. Actually, yeah, so what I was saying about, I said, actually, and then the dog got louder and louder, so I stopped. Somebody in the comments, I think a new person, asked why we were concentrating on the outbuildings rather than getting the house finished. Well, this is kind of the reason why. Because it has no roof on it, but we really need that. That is our only storage. So we're concentrating on getting that fixed so that we don't have all of this timber outside under a tarp, because when the wind blows, it all blows up. So that's why we were concentrating on the outbuildings, to try and get those done so that we can get some storage outside.
So as we walk to the outside of the property, oh, and slip on the ice, it is slippy. I apologise for my glasses. I used to lift them up, now I just can't see if I lift them up. So Dawn was just saying about the gable end and why it's important. Storage space, I'm going to leave that to Dawn, but that would make a massive workshop, loads of storage and everything else. Right, so walking around to the front of the house, one of the big jobs for this year is to remove all of the concrete render that covers the entirety of the house. Now, it was when we were doing the front door, when we were installing the new front door, we broke a little bit off just to see how easily it was going to come off. This section was already blown, but it came off really easily. So the plan is to take all of the concrete render off, and once that's done, you hear the term, it helps the walls breathe, lime helps the walls breathe, and another channel described it correctly, and it's capillary action. Basically, any moisture on the inside gets absorbed into the lime on the inside of the walls. That then passes through the lime mortar and eventually comes to the lime on the outside of the walls of the house. The sun and the wind dry that off. That's breathing. Now, when you've got concrete on it, concrete doesn't breathe. There is no capillary action with it. So the plan is to remove all of the concrete and let the walls dry out. And the ultimate plan is to then re-lime all of the front, and hopefully we can get a finish like the concrete. There's a beveled section, that's the wrong word, but there's detailing. You see it along the top. Now we would like to recreate that, but using lime. At the moment, the concrete, this was the reason, this was the room where the floor had dropped from the bedroom down into the living room, and the concrete is the reason all the end of the joists had rotted. The same went for the kitchen, although the condition of them wasn't as bad. So that's going to be a big big job. And we're really looking forward to doing that, and we actually get to see what the house or what the stonework's like. The gutters, while I'm out here, you'll have to excuse the Christmas lights because I haven't got round to taking those down yet. But we did only take the Christmas decorations down yesterday. We've got the gutter in there. I need to put that back on. Now this is old guttering, a different size to modern guttering. So it's very hard to get hold of the brackets. Now I have come up with a plan of 3D printing the brackets to be able to put that up. And we're hoping that's going to last long enough around the house to be able to take all of the concrete off fully before then looking at putting new modern guttering back up. The drainage around the house, there is some more to do. The cats are demonstrating why we need to do more drain. Oh, here comes a third one as well. So that's ongoing. It's hard work. And again, if you're new here, this house was built on a massive rock. Now we're talking huge square. Oh, I can't explain how big this rock is. I would have to bring up the ground layout. What's the word I'm looking for, Dawn? With rocks and the geological map. That's yeah. Right, and it will show you the size of the rock. I think it's called. But when I started taking down the drainage from here, I then uncovered some of the rock. It's not rocks, it's rock. And I'm sorry for the people who have been here all the time and they know I harp on about the rock that this house was built on. So yeah, the drainage is ongoing. We can't just dig down and put a French drain in. We'd love to. That was our initial thought. It's not possible. It's not just a case of get a digger in and put some drainage down. Windows. Yes. Stand in front of a window. There you go.
Is it on?
It's on.
It's on. Yeah. Windows. Really, it would be lovely to have all new sash wooden windows back in this house, because that's what it had originally. We found them in the outbuildings, didn't we? We found a couple of old, very rotten. But that is a long way. I was just wondering what that is, but it's our Christmas lights. Yes. It looked like loads of vegetation growing out the gutter.
That's possible.
I had a little bit of a panic. But the windows, we're going to keep these windows on the whole. They're pretty sound. These will just need sanding and repainting. There's a couple over this way. Yeah, I'll get Ben to turn it around. The one above the front door and our bedroom window, they're going to need more work than just a sand. They
I'm so cold. I'm shaking trying to move this camera.
Well, do you want me to take the camera? And
no, it's fine.
They're quite rotten. So just as a let's try and keep these windows for a while, because we are doing this on a quite tiny budget, so we're just going to keep as much as we can. These will need wood hardening, wood filling, and then repainting. But that is a plan for this year, because I'm adamant these are getting painted this year. And they'll do us, like, won't they? They'll do us until
they need some TLC and a little bit of repair.
Yeah, they're fine. They're good windows. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
On the list for this year.
And I'm gonna come round this side and say you've watched our channel before. If you've watched our channel before and various videos, you'll know we try and get one job done before going on to another, but sometimes we hop backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
And certainly with the stuff this year, we've got the windows to do. We can only do the windows on a nice day or a non-raining day. The concrete,
Yeah, we have no set
there's no
order.
order.
We'll do them when
The weather
when the
permits.
weather
Yeah,
dictates that you can do certain things,
yeah.
doesn't it? So
Everything is still a high priority. The concrete render especially, but so's the guttering. So is the window.
yeah.
So we do tend to do what we can depending on the weather or when we can do it. So you'll never get bored and you never know what's coming from one video to the
No,
next.
no, because we don't know either.
No, we don't.
Right, I don't know if I'm stood in front of it, but this, if you've been here for a while, you already know that this is collapsed. So this year, that needs doing. All of this needs repointing, and this goes back really to why we're doing the outbuildings before doing some of the stuff indoors. We need this area. It's a big area, big storage area, but to use it, all of this needs fixing up. Need to redo the top of there. This isn't too bad, but the further you go round, there's some holes that need addressing there. And then past the scaffolding on the right is the door opening area, and that has collapsed. So that needs fixing as well before we can then think about getting a roof on. Oh, nearly tripped over all the
I
stones.
slipped over it, it's fine.
Mind the cement mixer.
Thank you.
So yeah, the outbuildings are important to us to get done, and it will be this year that we get this done, so that we've got the space. And what else out here? Oh, tidying up.
More tidying, yeah.
I'll show you. Cats eating grass at the moment, and bird seed, I think.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But we got areas around here that need just to tidy up. We'd like to get it tidied, almost like a reset
Presentable.
for starting this year, really. Yeah, without piling it on top of all the stuff we left behind from last year. But I think I was going to try and get around there quick. I was going to say, like the cat going indoors, I think that's what we're going to do, and we'll carry on.
A really good idea. Carry on indoors.
Carry on indoors before Ben collapses into a frozen heap.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know what we're doing indoors.
Right, so we're back inside in the warm, thankfully, because that is cold out. Right, so why have I brought you upstairs? So I'm just going into Lucas's room, and I wanted to show you the stage we've got his ceiling to. Now, up until, when was it? Middle of August, I think, his ceiling looked the same as the landing ceiling, which is temporary, and it was one of those jobs we wanted to get done last year but didn't. And as we go into our bedroom, this is the ceiling at the moment. So basically it's the sheep's wool insulation above the rafters. We put up some ply with sheep's wool insulation above it in between the collar ties. So what we need to do, we need to take the sheep's wool insulation off, bring the rafters out by at least 2 inches, and then put the sheep's wool insulation in between the rafters before putting the white, I'm just going to whiz you back round again, the white breathable membrane on top of it. So basically moisture hits the breathable membrane, goes through it, the sheep's wool absorbs that moisture, and then the airflow in the ceiling, or the airflow in the roof space, then evaporates any moisture that the sheep's wool's captured. The reason we need to take it all off now on the landing and our bedroom is because you need a clear 50mm air gap between the tiles and, in our case, the sheep's wool insulation. So that comes off. Some 3x2 gets screwed to the existing rafters. That gives the depth then, so we can put the sheep's wool insulation between the rafters and still have that 50mm air gap. Then we put the breathable membrane on. The final stage, whenever that will come, is to then put the wooden ceiling panels. They're 3-4 inch strips of tongue and groove or shiplap edging, to then put the wooden timber paneling all the way back to how it was when we first got here. Unfortunately, the woodworm, the rot, the damp had got into pretty much all of it. We also needed to take the partitions down, which you will have seen, and as a result of having to do all of that work, we had to take the ceilings down too. So that's where we are with those. So that's going to be done. Lucas's bedroom, just with that breathable membrane on, stops breeze coming through the sheep's wool insulation, and the room gets a lot warmer. The landing gets warm anyway from the fires either side downstairs, but with that breathable membrane on, it holds the heat a lot better. So looking forward to doing that. It is a big job. It's quite a quick job. I think we were 2.5 days in Lucas's room. Our bedroom should be the same. And although it's an easy job, the landing makes it more difficult. Obviously, because you've got the drop down over the stairs. And when you're right up there, that's a long way to the floor downstairs. So that makes it a little bit more interesting, but it's only a narrow space. It's 2.1 meters wide. So there's not loads of work to do.
Right, so I'm in the living room and I've just been deliberating how I'm going to make this not so boring, because I'm going to be talking about plaster. Now there's lots of patches around this house that's going to need sorting out. Maybe I should explain before I go into that, we're not taking all of the plaster off the walls and going back to stone. We are just trying to repair what's in here, because on a whole it is pretty sound. So there's going to be patches. There's some patches where it is already back to stone, and I'll show you that. That's in the kitchen. But I will spin you round and I will explain a little bit more. Right, so we've got patches like this that on a whole they've stopped falling now, so we should be able to do a skim over with those, knock it back to where it's going to stop. So we've got plenty of patches in the living room that are like that. I'll just bring you around. But we should be able to just skim these over, which obviously brings me to these. In this tub here I have ready-made putty to do the skimming patches, and then in the other bucket we've got quicklime kibble, I think it's called, and that will be where we have got more to do rather than just skimming. But in here it really probably is going to be more skimming than any plastering. And you may have seen I got some tools. I got these for Christmas. Ben bought me one of these, and these as well. These are for the corners. That's an external corner, so around the windows, and then we have an internal, which self-explanatory I suppose, the corners of the walls. So for in here, that is really what's going to happen. There's around the windows need doing, And I think the more I speak, the more I think, wow, there's so much to do this year. But we'll get there. Ben's sat by the fire. He was trying to be quiet and secretly sit by the fire. But it was really cold outside, so
I said it was really cold.
it's really cold. But it's lovely and toasty in here. And all the decorations are gone. So it looks a little bare, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to take you out into the hall and show you the bits and pieces out there that will need sorting as well. Here we go. Pretty much the same here. A lot of these we're going to be able to get away with just skimming the missing patches. We've also got the ceilings to recover back over with the panelling. Possibly not this year, we'll have to see how it goes, but around the front door, that will get done this year. Get that filled with stones and plaster into there. And there's all these bits and pieces that need repairing all around. The same again in the bathroom. It's the same story. It's just the top skim has fallen off really. There's no huge patches other than around the window. So basically it's just repairing what's already here.
And then lastly, on our list of plans,
Yeah.
with all good intention, our list of plans is opening up
The kitchen fireplace.
Yeah. Now this is probably, we're probably the most excited about this,
Yeah,
aren't we?
yeah.
Getting this open. Not only will it change the kitchen completely, it also then gives us the space for the range to go in.
Yeah.
And speaking of the range, everybody's buy me a coffee, where everybody's bought us a coffee to go into the help us buy a range fund. It turns out we may now be able to afford to buy a refurbished range.
Yeah.
So we need to get this opened a lot sooner than later, because we really don't know what's behind there. And
No, we're hoping that it's going to be nice and simple, but you know that's not the way things
yeah,
go
we don't,
when
we
you
don't
think
work
that.
like that. We thought initially it was going to be just block and then skimmed over. But when the stove was put in, which to replace the range that was here, some work was done. If I can bring you in, that used to be the old, what was that called?
The Stanley range.
Yeah, the Stanley range. You used to be able to get well, the sorry, I'll get my words in a minute.
Oh, that's the soot door.
Yes, the chimney sweep was able to get his rods up
Yeah.
there, and it's the soot door and everything else. So when the stove was fitted, which Sean did for us, really, didn't he filled that in because it wasn't needed. But what we did discover is it's possible it's actually all built with stones rather than blocks. So we don't know what's in there. We don't know the condition at the back of it or anything. So we're going to have to get that opened up
Yeah.
a lot sooner than later.
That's exciting.
That is
Very
exciting for us. It's going to be dusty,
Messy.
yeah. And we're hoping we can sort of disconnect the range, do a day's work if it takes a long time, reconnect, not the
Stove.
range, the
Yeah.
stove. We're hoping we can disconnect the stove, do some work, at the end of the day connect the stove again. Otherwise we're going to have to wait till the summer to be able to do it.
Yeah, and we don't, we can't, there's so much to do, and
yeah,
but to get this open,
I think this is our
early
priority, isn't it, really?
yeah, I think so, because this year we'd like to have something resembling a proper kitchen, wouldn't we?
By Christmas next door.
Next year.
Next door, next year. Bloody hell. Because Dawn did a fantastic job Christmas Day. We have a 10-in-1 Ninja oven, which is tiny. We've got a 2-ring induction hob. And this year we went out on a limb and bought ourselves a cheapy air fryer, but
Well,
it worked,
did it
didn't
all,
it?
yeah.
You did Christmas
Oh, and a
dinner on that.
steamer. So we
Oh
had
yeah,
to
and we got a
do the
steamer
veg.
as well.
Yeah.
But
It was a good Christmas dinner.
it was a lovely
If you've
Christmas
seen the
dinner.
picture on Instagram, you will see the Christmas dinner
Oh
that was
yeah.
cooked in all of these things.
So it will be lovely. We get this opened up. We get a range in. I'm confusing myself.
Yeah.
Because the range then, it's going to be a solid fuel range with a back boiler, which also then means we start getting hot water produced by it. I'm going to flip this round. And then with hot water being produced by the range, it means the issues we have with the temporary hot water heater we've got and the gas regulator valve and everything else all goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll introduce new problems.
Probably.
But that's what it is. So that's
and walls in here.
oh, the walls in
Yeah.
here. Yeah, as Dawn was saying, a lot. Certainly, this room. This room. This is all lime. It's all lime plaster. There are a few bits Dawn couldn't get to take the modern paint off. Some of it had modern paint. So a lot of this will remain as it is, but end up just with a new coat of whitewash on it, whether it's coloured whitewash or not. Some areas where the big panels were up in the kitchen, when they did the framework, they took it back to stone. So that's going to need the thick plaster putting on before it then gets the top coat. But other than that, this kitchen's, the walls are in great condition. You wouldn't think it looking at it on camera. And then one more thing we did forget to say is all of the lintels, we need to expose all of the lintels above the windows throughout the house, see the condition of the lintels, replace those if they need replacing.
I think I'd like to stop talking about how much we got to do this year.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, isn't it?
I'm of the opinion that I don't think too far ahead, because if I think too far ahead doing this, I just immediately get overwhelmed. I like to focus on a job.
Yeah.
So laying it all out like this is just quite frightening.
Very scary.
Yeah. But we'll just work away, job by job, and we'll see what we get done.
We'll see how it goes. Nothing in this video is an order. We're not saying we'll do this first, and we haven't.
We would like that. Yeah, you can see my hand.
Yeah.
This fireplace.
That done first. Ish.
Yeah. After tidying up outside, but it would be nice if this was
Sooner than later.
One of the first things that we got done, because painting outside and things like that, it's cold at the moment, so it's not ideal. We can't do the outbuildings at the moment. You can't do those until
spring,
March, April.
Yeah.
With lime, you can't use, or you shouldn't use lime externally when the weather's too cold. I think I don't know if it's below 10 degrees.
Something like that.
Something like that anyway. But so there's lots of things that we've got to do that we can't really do.
No.
Whilst the weather's chilly, so this would be great.
Yeah, this is a number one thing. So yeah, nothing you saw today is an order of what we're going to do things in. But fingers crossed by Christmas.
Oh, it'd be lovely. Yeah.
We'll have all of those jobs done.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. Again, thank you so much to everybody who's new and has subscribed. And all of our existing subscribers for still being with us and watching each week.
Yeah.
And we will see you next
Sunday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.